Jerry Jones with us on 105.3 The Fan. Good afternoon, sir.
Man, it's good to be staring at you guys and doing it in the beautiful weather of Oxnard in California. And, I was just having a visit with you guys before we went on, and I said, looking from afar, you see a lot of fires, a lot of concern about water, a lot of concern right up here still, a virus. And California, it looks like we've gone into the teeth of the tiger. But the facts are we've been coming out here a long time. It is home when it comes to a training camp. But more important than anything, to me, it gets us a chance with all of our visibility that you guys are a big part of. Gives us a chance to say, hey, Cowboys, it's business as usual. Let's go and let's deal with what we can and build a football team.
So let's get right into this football conversation about this team. Do you think there's enough talent out here to win a championship this season?
Well, this talent, if size, if speed, frankly, if pedigree, all could get there at the same time and be in the same frame of mind and have the same right mentality, yes.
Who are the players that would need to show more than what they've shown in the past or step up in order to make that a reality?
Well, I think, let's just say, who are the players that could stay available? Who are the players that could meet their best assessment so far? Who are those that could reach that level? Now, to reach that level, you've got to know what you're doing out there. They might have had an extraordinary level of play in college, but let's assume they knew what they were doing when they were out there in college. At least it sufficed for those times and those conditions. We need them to get to that spot with the Cowboys. That's a lot of ifs, by the way. That's called making or having a championship or a contending team. But this team is very capable. From what I see and believe, we have the coaching that can evaluate how to get each player's best and how to put him in a spot that he recognizes his limitation, and that could be experience. That could be really just your physical limitations. I think we've got a combination here that could produce some results that may approach that kind of level, championship.
Well, and to me, one of those guys, if you're going to have a guy that takes a big jump and can really help this team, it would be Randy Gregory. I love the way that he looks out on the field right now. Can you just talk about the journey with him? Because we hear a lot about how much you care about your players, not just as football players, but as people. And you've kind of been through it to get to this point with Randy Gregory. What has that experience been like to see it hopefully about to pay off?
Well, because of a player's sometimes uniqueness, his circumstances, then I end up, during the course of his time with the Cowboys, that's been the case, spending more time with him. Now, I do that, provided in my judgment that he's got some real meat on the bone, so to speak, that he's all there. Anybody that's ever met and been around Randy Gregory sees his depth. He's a smart guy. He's got challenges. We all do. This one sitting in this chair ain't right. But the point is, the way he has stuck to his continued addressing those challenges. We look for persistence in football. We look for guys that just, if you will, they just don't quit. They just keep coming and they keep trying to take their challenges and deal with them. Boy, he's done that, and he's done it off the field. It just is real nice that he actually, athletically, is a rare athlete, rare. And he's got rare mentality to go with it. And he's got the right temperament to do what he does. He's a competitor. You see that. You see it off the field. Our times together have, to couch him in any way as having satisfaction or pleasure would be wrong, because most every time I've ever talked to Randy Gregory, we've had some serious things we're talking about that aren't pleasant. And so we've had a lot of those times. To get to see him step out here right now and be one of the most impactful guys in the first look at these guys moving around and what they're doing, I'd put Randy Gregory right there in the one or two top impressive guys out here. That's anybody, offense or defense. What's exciting is that, boy, he came in here as a great, as a potential, could develop into a great pass rusher, arguably one of the best one or two in the whole draft that he was in. He sustained his intensity. Now then, he's emboldened. He got emboldened by last year. He'd like to have played more. We'd like for him to play more. But the point is, he took a step in terms of inside, knowing he could do it. Now then, he knows he's special out there. I mean, in a good sense. And he's playing to that level, and he's pushing himself. One of his best days were one of the first 2 or 3 days out here, and boy, he had a bad stomach, and he was having trouble with that all practice, and was taking time off to take care of that. Yet, boy, you'd step out there, and you'd think he just walked out there for the first play against the Giants. So he's fighting through it.
Jerry, I've always wanted to ask you this question. When I was in a draft room with you in 2005, we made a determination, or you did, to draft Demarcus Ware. And we were struggling with that because it was Parcells was fighting for Sean Merriman. And we made the choice, you made the choice again, really the night before the draft. I always wanted to know, what did you tell Parcells when you took him into Lacewell's office and told him we were going to draft Demarcus Ware?
Well, first of all, I told him we were going to draft Demarcus Ware.
Right.
And Bill, if anything, is pragmatic,
Sure.
but he's also very emotional.
Sure.
And so we had really, I'd say old Steven took it
Did he?
the most. And but it wasn't awkward because Bill was Bill.
Right.
But let's just say we weren't talking. And so we came back in, and the first thing I did when I sat down, I told him to fill the Demarcus Ware card out. And Bill's sitting right beside me, and it wasn't awkward because Bill, frankly, is one of the top 1 or 2 people that I've been around in the last 30 years, no matter what the role is. He's great. And so we're sitting there, and I see him take this legal pad, and man, is he carefully writing out a contract-looking document. As a matter of fact, he even put signature lines down. And he put on there, should player not average 10 sacks a year in his first 5 years in the NFL. Mr. Jones agrees that Mr. Parcells and his significant other will get 5 trips a year on his G5. And he put signature lines down there. And so I didn't even look at him. I read it there when he was right beside me, 6 inches from me, and slid it over. I wrote an addendum. I said, Mr. Jones so agrees, provided Mr. Parcells agrees, that should player get more than 12 sacks, the G5 and Mr. Parcells' significant other will go on the trip, but it will be Mr. Jones accompanying them rather than Bill. Sign right there.
How was that trip?
Broke the ice.
How was that trip? Because said player did average.
I tell you what, it's the amazing thing about Jerry is I've never seen a general manager get on the phone and get other general managers to admit who they were going to take. And this goes back to the thing when we did it with the Roy Williams draft.
Oh my God.
He got Frank Gilliam from Minnesota to tell him who he was going to draft, and he got Carl Peterson from Kansas City to tell him who he was going to draft. And I've never been in a draft room where somebody usually they say we're going offense here, we're going defense. Jerry got them both to it, telling let's pick the best trade and let's go.
And so we traded down below them.
There we
go. Because we knew they weren't going to take our guy,
right? And
picked up picks. But we were reading the tea leaves as we made.
I tell you, it was amazing. That was one of the best draft room moves I've ever seen a GM pull off right there.
Well, I'll tell you, those times are best, in my view, accounted for by all you can do is get ready, prepare, and then you've got to see how it comes your way.
Yeah.
And you've got to play those cards along those lines. And can sometime you make value by having something like that happen? Yes. But as sure as you try to just make it go, I'd best say it this way. if that phone ain't ringing, okay, then I'm not answering it, so to speak. What's the old great song, the country music song? If the phone ain't ringing, that's me calling.
That's me calling.
Of course, Jerry Jones here with you on 105.3 The Fan. How important is it to have fun in those moments like that throughout this journey, and how much fun are you having in the draft days behind the scenes?
Well, I would have never dreamed when I got involved in the NFL that the fun, now in this particular case, fun is walking right near death's door and living to tell about it, and then taking a deep breath and talking about it over a beer after it happens. Now that's the fun part, because it's dicey in the middle of it, and always is. It's no fun if you didn't have some of that diciness. But I would have never dreamed when I decided to buy the Cowboys, I was on record of saying, I'm making a career change. I'm literally going to do, really, for all practical purposes, nothing. I'll manage my affairs, but I'm going to do nothing other than manage the Dallas Cowboys. And I thought, you're going to get cabin fever. You're going to get island fever, because the world I came from was the tradingest, cutthroat, most competitive world you could ever see. And that's the world of the oil and gas business, and the business is that. And I'm telling you right now, you had to have eyes in the back of your head. You had to look around every corner, and then you could get fleeced at the same time. Now, that's where it happens. But you had to also be talking about a positive thing, selling with your left hand, and the phone ringing, you pick up with your right and say, wait just a minute, with your left, and they told you you've hit a dry hole. And then you got to go back with the same positive ring in your voice and talk about the next deal at the same time. Prepares you pretty good. Prepares you pretty good for football. But I never dreamed that the kinds of things that have happened, not only what we do to build a roster, but also from all the other business things, that it would be as challenging and as exciting as it's been for 30 years. Now, it's been so challenging and exciting that I haven't worked in 30 years either. It's just been, I just can't wait to get up. I don't want to go to bed. It's the source of any type of extraordinary enthusiasm you see from me.
We've seen you, Jerry, the last couple of years, though, and even on the podium the other afternoon, show a lot of emotion. Yeah. You get emotional about things. What brings the emotion to you? Is it like you say, getting up every day and being a part of this and just kind of seeing where it's all going?
Well, I think age probably has something to do with that. I've saw it in my father. I've seen it in other men. So I think there's some of that. I think there's a realization when you look back that, I was always thinking, boy, my ship's going to come home. I'll keep doing it today. This is rough. This isn't working out. But I'm going to keep shoving because my ship's going to come home. And I had that out looking in front of you. Well, you realize that, the activities that were involved with trying to make that ship come home, that's really where the joy is. That's where it happens. Not there. Most of the time, not the result. Certainly not the financial result. I want to get this real clear right now. I'd lucky enough to have had some money, got some money before I bought the Cowboys. I spent it all, more than anybody ever has. Took a bigger risk. Lamar Hunt got up in front of all the owners and said, the biggest risk I've ever seen taken in sports was when Jerry bought the Cowboys. That's the biggest one I've ever seen, Lamar Hunt. And so I gave up the money, or the security of the money, so that I could be sitting here with you guys today. Still feel that way, felt that way then. The facts are, though, once we got in the shoes, once we got in the traces, then every day, all the way, every day. And so you tried to figure out ways to make the game better, make the game work better. The Cowboys had great visibility, had great promotion. That's one of the reasons, Tex Schramm, that they literally have the moniker of America's team. But that's not marketing. They had all of that promotion, all the sports page. They'd have 50 riders on the planes when other clubs didn't have any. And they certainly had stories. But that doesn't bring back home a little juice to go again. you don't have any to go again. You can be the most visible thing there is, but not have any juice to go again. There's no joy in Mudville unless you can go again. You're not your best unless you got both feet up under you financially. And so to have that, which we didn't have in the NFL, and I'm not so sure you had it anyplace in sport, and to have some juice now to work with so that you could go again, that financial viability, that helps get that ball in the end zone too. And so all of the people that help us do that, when we get one of those touchdown passes, I give them a big attaboy.
A couple of guys that I think a lot of Cowboy fans are anxious to see that we haven't yet. Demarcus Lawrence. I was watching him working out, not practicing, but working out yesterday, and Amari Cooper. When will we see those guys take the practice field?
Well, I don't know that we should see them take the practice field until we get back to Dallas. If we were playing, then you could have them sooner. But I was asked about Lawrence. I think Lawrence, we ought to wait and see him. He certainly doesn't need to be out there now, and I don't think he'll need to be out there until we get back for that third or fourth preseason game in our particular case. Cooper, we'll take a good look at that. We don't see the urgency to press him right at this time, and I think it could very well be that we not want him back out there competitively until we hit after Phoenix or after Arizona.
Will we hear anything official about Malik Hooker in the next couple of days, you think?
Well, I think so, of course. As a matter of fact, it's pretty official what you're hearing. He's on campus, and he's can't join because he's got to go through the protocol and do those kinds of things. But we're feel great about having him join in the team.
Jerry, thanks for having us back out here. It's
Man,
awesome.
I'm sorry I may have done too much talking and you not enough questioning.
No, you're good. Come on back tomorrow.
Okay, guys. All right. Thank you.
Appreciate you. Thank you so much. There he is, Jerry Jones on your home of the Cowboys.